So today you'll notice some differences but also some similarities between these two. We have a direct comparison between a Chinese POS replica of a JBL EON, and then we have an actual JBL EON right here. Some very clear differences. I'll just spin this around real quick. The back. You're gonna think that this one, the little knockoff, is a lot better because you got this huge heatsink, you got a massive plate amp, you got all these knobs, you got all these inputs, but shocker, it's really bad. And you'll find that out through we took some SPL tests with a sound meter made by, oh my god, I can't even remember, Rise Pro. Never actually heard of them before, but the dB meter seems to work pretty well as I'm tangling up these two. What we're going to do is we're going to tear these down, of course. We have an SPL test with a decibel meter. We have kind of a 40 hertz tone that we ran through both of these, and you'll really see the difference in amplifier quality through that, because running a pure sine wave through these really gets you your straight up dignified results of what the amplifier can do and what it can't do. And oh my god, this thing fell on its face at like a quarter gain volume with a 40 hertz tone, where I actually got up to like 75-80% gain on this. So you can really get an idea of just the differences in quality. You can't really recall who makes this or where they came from. Both of these came from Chaz's garage, so they're a bit dirty. We tried to clean them up a little bit best we can for, you know, a solid minute of effort. But we're gonna tear them apart. You're gonna hear them. That's really all I can say about it. Well, it'll be a dignified, obvious difference between these two. JBL sounds way better. These sound like they're sleeping. The highs are absolutely muddled. It sounds muddy as can be. It just doesn't sound good. I would never ever spend longer than a minute at a concert that uses these. So yeah, let's just get straight to it then. So we got basically all the screws out of here. We're gonna remove this cover. It's kind of like a one-piece design where the waveguide comes with it, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to pop these out, little push terminals. And then we got spades, my favorite. All right, kind of heavy. So here we got the back. I'll move that out of the way. Chaz actually messed with these ahead of time. So this is not the original woofer. This is a Samson woofer. They actually put a real threaded horn on here, so I don't even have to take it off the throat. Look at that. That is some weird looking bolts that are holding the diaphragm cover on. You can see that the edges aren't fully encased, so you can still get a flathead on it. There it goes. Alright, so I mean, it looks like it's a titanium diaphragm, but you couldn't really say for sure. And there is a phase plug here, so it's actually not too bad of a high frequency driver. It's kind of sad because you'll hear in the demo that it sounds awful. So that leads me to think that it's definitely the amplifier on the back of that, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Now we took out the insulation, and we can now see the back of the plate amp, and yeah, this is definitely where this is falling short. You can see here the main filter caps, very insufficient for what they need to do. It's 63 volts, 300 microfarads each. Not much headroom at all for being a PA speaker. You have a little toroidal transformer down here. I'm impressed that they even went with a toroidal. But here you have all your DSP boards and stuff that, you know, you can adjust all your tone controls. These are the pots for each of those knobs. I'm not really sure where the output... Oh, there's a little spider. Look at him go. Go, guy, go. He's like dancing. What is he doing? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. So, I don't actually... Is that the whole entire amplifier board right here? That's it? That's the... Oh, that is. Yeah, because there's the transistor.
Yeah, because it's going to that...
So what is connected?
Crossover right under.
What is connected to this heatsink? There's nothing. Oh, probably maybe the back of this actually probably has the MOSFETs on it or something. It's probably a double-sided PCB board. But God, it's so chintzy. It's so cheap. Like, you could probably build this whole entire setup. Like, look how cheap these paper caps are. They're using paper caps. Like, what? 250 volts. That's, you know, they're at least something, but not really. Sad, but expected. A lot of hot glue everywhere to hold everything down. That's, you know, again, expected with the cheap Chinese knockoffs. I mean, it will get the job done if you need a really small house party where everyone's semi-deaf, but ultimately this thing just really isn't worth it. It looks all fancy from the back. I mean, you got bass, you got treble, you got volume, you got your line level input, you got your mic level, your aux. But it's so cheap. And they got this little thing walled off. I don't even know if that actually goes to a true selector. Oh, it does. Okay, fair enough. At least that actually works. I've seen where they have the voltage selector for, you know, the UK or Europe or American voltage, you know, the 110 versus 220. And they weren't even connected to anything, but this is actually connected to the transformer, so it does work. I would hope. So yeah, we're going to move on to the JBL EON. This is obviously an utter disappointment. Even though our expectations were never set high from the start, it's actually a little bit more disappointing than I would have expected. I would have liked to see at least a true plate amplifier, but this thing is, I would hardly call this a plate amplifier. It's more like someone retrofitted a really cheap stereo amp and just kind of made it work onto the back of this. So it is what it is. I mean, thankfully we didn't buy it. Chaz actually got it for free, so we don't have to worry about, you know, taking a loss on it or anything. Put that back cover semi back on. Alright, but now we'll take apart the JBL EON and see how it does. We're going to take this apart, hopefully as easily as the Samsung. So I'll open it this way so you guys can kind of see as I'm seeing. Wow. Alright, so that looks like a neodymium high frequency driver. Oh, spade connectors, my favorite. There we go. Oh my god. Alright. So here we have the JBL. So clearly, actually we can probably go ahead and get a direct comparison here. Alright. Look at the similarities. Holy Jesus. The Chinese really, like, even the mounting holes are the same, like all the way around. The waveguides are slightly different. Actually, I don't think so. I think the waveguides are the same. It's just the way they braced this was different from how they did it. There is no throat, detachable throat on the back of the JBL where there is here. Not really a benefit or anything. This one does unscrew, I believe. If I can get it. Holy shit. Oh my god, okay. Well, we're not taking that out. It's just not going to come out without me possibly breaking something. Most likely my hand. But other than that, I mean, they're essentially pretty close in design. The Chinese really tried to mimic exactly what was going on with JBL, but JBL's got a, that's really odd, it's dimpled. So the magnet is dimpled where the voice coil, the internal magnet, would go. This one's obviously vented. I'm not really sure what the whole point of dimpling the motor would do. Maybe it changes how the magnetic fields affect the coil, or I don't know. It's stuff that's out of my education, basically. But yeah, I mean, you can basically see that they really tried to mimic this as close as possible, so that if you really didn't know, if there were no stickers on this, you would almost guess it'd be the same apart from the high frequency drivers. I mean, even the baskets. I mean, again, this one's a Samson woofer, so you can't really compare what was originally in here. I would hate to see what it originally was. But yeah, I mean, you get a pretty clear idea of what's going on with the drivers at least. So we'll kind of move on to the amplifier and check that out and see how that compares. All right. So here we have them side by side. As you can see all the components and everything. You can see how cheap that's made, where they actually took extra time, extra money. You have a ribbon cable. I'm assuming that this is the main amplifier board and assembly. There's no heatsink or anything on the back of it, but it's connected through a ribbon cable, so that's really what makes me think it's the amplifier board. Is the speakers come directly out of it, and it's obviously thicker gauged wire, where signal and sound processing and all that would just, you know, it's very low voltage input signals, so they would run it through a ribbon cable, where, you know, the main power that comes off the transformer and the outlet, as you can see, are running a completely separate path, so you cannot pass high current through a ribbon cable like that. But as you can see, I mean, we can't unfortunately really take it fully apart without possibly messing up some thermal paste and things like that. I don't know how they have everything organized inside of here. We're not really going to take this apart and look at the caps and all that, unfortunately. But all in all, I mean, you can just kind of see, obviously, that there are huge quality differences between the true JBL and the fake JBL EON. And that'll just kind of wrap up the video. I mean, we don't really have too much more for you other than this and the sound tests and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, and we'll have another video for you next week.